Escape into a world where streaming feeds your curiosity.
With Curiosity Stream, you get documentaries that spark wonder, ignite discovery, and make learning addictive.
Face it, you're curious. That's why you tune into the show.
From ancient secrets to futuristic tech, from deep space journeys to microbial mysteries, you'll find
Whether you're uncovering cursed artifacts, decoding the cosmos, or exploring the science of memory, Curiosity Stream transforms your screen into the ultimate classroom, minus the pop quizzes.
Stream Smarter, Think Deeper, Be Curious.
Dive in at curiositystream.com infogo or click the link in the show notes for exclusive offers. Discover the bold, handcrafted flavor of Pete's signature coffee blends, reserve selections, and limited edition roast. Only available at pete's.com.
Their decades of commitment to excellence, sustainability, and farmer first practices.
Ensure every bag is roasted to order, so you're getting the freshest beans possible delivered straight to your door.
Whether you enjoy drip, pour over, French press, espresso, cold brew, K cup pods, or espresso capsules, Pete's has the perfect roast for your brew method.
On the go, grab a bottle of cold brew or espresso and fuel your day with uncompromising quality.
And now the official home of Mighty Leaf Tea, bringing you exclusive blends, whole leaf tea pouches, loose leaf teas, iced teas, and teaware, all in one place.
Pete's Coffee, where passion meets your pour. Click the link in the show notes for exclusive offers. Hi, I'm William.
And I'm Kat,
And that makes this Info on the Go.
answering questions you want to know.
All right, Kat, I'm going to try to do my best to set this up. Long before the invisible world of microbes reshaped medicine, people turned to their senses, especially smell, to explain, well, diseases, right? The idea of miasma, meaning pollution in Greek, emerged as a dominant theory. Bad air itself was thought to carry sickness.
But this wasn't just a poetic notion. In ancient Greece and Rome, it was backed by a blend of philosophy, observation, and a dash of myth.
The roots lie in Hippocratic medicine around the 5th century BCE.
The Hippocratic text emphasized the importance of the environmental factors, air, water, seasons, and in determining health, illness wasn't random.
It was a result of imbalance and foul-smelling air, especially from decaying matter, sewage, or swamp gas. This was a sign that the environment itself had turned toxic.
The famous Hippocrates quote.
All right, I'm going to try to do this in my ancient voice, but it's probably going to sound more like mid-century somewhat, I'm assuming. Whoever wishes to investigate medicine properly should proceed thus. In the first place, to consider the seasons of the year and the disease which they produce. What do you think?
Close enough? Reflects this belief in environmental causation.
Wow, you didn't even get you just had to move on. Was it really that bad?
No.
Plato and Aristotle picked up the thread, weaving miasma theory into broader views about order and morality.
To them, polluted air wasn't just dangerous, it was symbolic.
Man, they wouldn't have survived that great stink of 1858, would they?
They sure wouldn't have, but I don't think, Greek and Romans would not have been in that situation.
Fair enough. If the body mirrored the state of the soul, then foul air could suggest moral decay, sin, or civic disorder.
Health,
Okay, I kind of see where they're going with this.
right, right.
Yeah.
Health became not just a biological issue, but a moral one.
When the Romans adapted Greek medicine, they blended it with practical urban planning.
The rise of aqueducts, sewer systems, and public baths reflected not only Roman engineering pride, but their belief in clean air and sanitation as shields against disease.
Yet, even with impressive infrastructure, miasma lingered in their explanations.
Goodness.
Yeah, for real.
Plagues were often blamed on bad airs rising from marshes or decomposing corpses.
I can get the marshes. Have you ever been to a marsh when that gas bubbles up? It is foul. It is bad.
I believe it. I have not. I have not experienced this foulness, but I can, imagine like a bad pond or a bad pool been sitting for a few years. That's about as close as I get.
Yeah, stagnant water. That's basically the same.
Blech.
The Roman writer Lucretius wrote in On the Nature of Things, described illness spreading from contaminated winds, a poetic, eerily image.
This idea held so much sway that centuries later, during epidemics in medieval and early modern Europe, doctors wore plague masks stuffed with herbs, not to filter germs, but to protect themselves from toxic scents.
You know what we're talking about here, right?
I absolutely know what we're talking about here.
Okay. We're gonna try to describe this thing. It's like, well, you try to describe it.
They have so many references in a lot of like scary movies, but it's the mask with goggles and a very long beak-like thing on the front of it.
Yes, that's it. That long beak is where they're stuffing all this stuff because that's gonna help break these toxins out before it gets to your body.
I don't know, they'd had a really good idea. That's a good filter.
Um, yeah, but the idea behind it wasn't so great.
Nah, but I mean, medieval Europe, it is what it is.
Hey, that thing would have come in handy during the Great Stink there, right?
Dude.
Probably at some sporting events too.
You know what's sad is that wasn't even medieval Europe, okay?
Yeah, that it really wasn't. The mask beak wasn't about science. It was olfactory armor against the unseen menace of miasma.
In ancient medical thought, disease wasn't just a physical affliction, it was atmospheric and deeply symbolic.
The theory of miasma, which held that foul air spread illness, developed alongside booming urban centers that were increasingly overcrowded, unsanitary, and morally scrutinized. Hmm.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, think about it though. I mean, it kind of makes sense. You're when I know we're joking about the Great Stink of 1858, but I mean, think about all these other civilizations where they have this foul air that's lingering. They don't know about cholera and all the other bacteria that are spreading. So, I mean, it just makes sense to them. I mean, I get it.
Right. As cities expanded, so did their problems. Waste overflowed, water stagnated, and the air grew thick with the stench of humanity.
To early thinkers, this wasn't just a public health issue, it was a reflection of deeper social decay.
Oof.
Yeah.
Miasma theory flourished because it connected physical filth with moral failure.
Rotten smells raising from alleys and slums weren't just unpleasant, they were warning signs of spiritual corruption and social disorder.
Ancient times were wild,
They were very wild.
wild times. A polluted environment was seen as both the result and source of human vice.
Physicians, philosophers, and clergy often echoed this view, arguing that poor hygiene, promiscuity, and sin made communities vulnerable to bad air and its consequences. Yeah, okay. I see how they're trying to roll in all the
Morality.
yeah, that's thank you. Into this poor air when it's really just basic sanitation.
Well, in some beliefs, it's still the same.
Yeah, I
Some of
would
that didn't
agree.
change. In this way, disease wasn't merely contagious, it was righteous punishment carried on by the breeze.
They call me the breeze. Anyway, urban environments became prime suspects in the scented morality tale.
So you said that, and my brain went, I can feel it coming in the air tonight.
Oh
To my brain.
yeah.
That's what my brain did.
And I'm sitting here going, they call me the breeze. Yeah. Okay. So well, we're like, I think different genres there, aren't we?
It's quite possible. Quite possible. I don't know the one you're talking about.
You don't know the breeze? They call me the breeze.
Nah.
Oh my gosh. I know the one you're talking about.
Well, I'd
I
hope
can
so.
feel it in the air coming in. Yeah. I mean, I get that one.
Yeah.
Leonard Skinner, The Breeze. Look it up.
Oh no, I know who Leonard Skinner is. That's sad. Dang. In any case, where are we?
The smells.
Mhm. The smells of the city were mapped onto class lines, with working class neighborhoods labeled unclean and elite districts seen as more virtuous, despite their own hidden filth.
Bathhouses, taverns, and marketplaces were all framed as potential breeding grounds for miasma. These were places where the physical mingled too freely with the spiritual. Mm. So they're condemning bathhouses now. I mean, I can get how bathhouses turned, into brothels and things like that. I could get where they're coming with that, but still.
Not all the way wrong, but not in the way that they think.
Yeah, absolutely.
To cleanse the air was to cleanse the soul. Fresh breezes and pleasant scents symbolized health, order, and divine favor.
Let's talk about bathing in fear when cleanliness invited sickness.
Cleanliness is next to godliness and all.
Yeah, yeah.
Imagine standing over a steaming bath in the 17th century Europe, ready to step in and scrub away the dust of city life.
But instead of relaxation, you hesitate. You're not worried about scalding water or slipping on wet tile. You're terrified the bath might kill you.
Because back then, people believed that bathing didn't just open your pores, it opened the door to disease.
This fear wasn't superstition. It was rooted in the medical logic of the time, which was the miasma theory.
Not all the way wrong, but definitely not correct.
Definitely not correct.
The idea held that disease spread through foul smelling, polluted air, often found in places with rot, human waste, and stagnant water, which, I mean,
Yeah.
diseases do indeed live in things like that.
Warm water, in particular, was believed to soften the skin and expand the pores, turning the human body into a sponge for sticky vapors. Um,
Well, not all the way wrong. Once those pores were open, miasma could seep in and infect the blood, winding its way through every vital organ.
the act of bathing wasn't cleansing, it was dangerous exposure.
Dangerous.
Dangerous. Don't go near the water, man. It's dangerous. And don't take the soap.
Don't take the sponge.
Oh, no, definitely don't take the sponge.
Ooh. Ugh.
Oh my gosh, you just made me think, you got me that time.
Aha. Oh. Doctors and health writers of the day cautioned against frequent bathing, especially during outbreaks.
The hot bath weakened the body's natural defenses.
Chilly air hitting wet skin was described as an invitation to illness, especially respiratory issues or fevers.
And that's not all the way wrong either, just in a
No,
different way.
not all the way correct. They had the idea going.
Yeah. In the absence of germ theory, illness was visualized as a fog that could settle into the body, not unlike a spirit possessing flesh.
To remain untouched, one had to keep pores closed and skin uninviting.
Mm. This anxiety intensified in colder climates and urban centers where disease outbreaks were frequent and air quality was poor.
Bathing seemed counterintuitive. Why would you strip down and soak yourself in warmth when that warmth made you porous, vulnerable, and spiritually exposed?
Public bathhouses, once celebrated in Roman times as places of community, wellness, and philosophical debate, had by the Middle Ages earned a more sinister reputation.
Though some persisted as social spaces, many were viewed as dens of immorality and uncleanliness.
The mingling of naked bodies in steamy rooms sparked concerns about contagion and sin, especially under the rising influence of religious conservatism.
Cleanliness was no longer linked to purity, it became associated with vanity, indulgence, and heresy.
Instead, dry hygiene took center stage. People turned to scented linens, herbal powders, and oil rub downs to maintain a subbalance of freshness without ever touching water.
So essentially, like baby powder.
Yeah, like talc powder or something other. I mean, I mean, you're not washing the stench away, you're just masking it, and that's not good either.
Nah, definitely not quite right.
Mm-mm. Oh,
Perfume use soared, and smelling clean replaced being clean. Sounds like a teenage boy.
yeah, yeah, for real.
This allowed people to maintain social respectability while avoiding the perceived health hazards of bathing.
So you got all this oil and grime and grit. I guess you're using that Stegial every night or something other and re-oiling yourself back down. Because you
I
know
mean,
dirt is going to stick to that.
yeah, I mean, that's better than absolutely nothing, which
Mm.
is, we may be drawing at straws and being hopeful.
I think we're just being hopeful. What's striking is how this fear of exposure turned bathing from a healthy habit into a moral and medical dilemma. Yeah.
Cleanliness required not just soap and water, but strategic planning, spiritual readiness, and social approval.
In a world ruled by miasma, the bath wasn't a refuge, it was a battleground.
Now to bathhouses under fire, from sanctuaries to scandals.
Mm. In ancient Rome, bathhouses weren't just places to get clean, they were social centers, sanctuaries, and symbols of civic pride.
The Balinese, smaller public or private baths, and Thermae, larger imperial bath complexes in ancient Rome, offered heated rooms, cold plunges, massage stations, and even libraries. See, this sounds nice.
Senators and slaves alike gathered to bathe, debate, network, and relax. Cleanliness wasn't just a bodily virtue, it was political, philosophical, and communal.
Emperors sponsored grand bath complexes, lavishing marble, mosaics, and aqueduct fed fountains to demonstrate both power and generosity.
But over centuries, that steam began to cool.
By the early medieval period, bathhouses fell into disrepair, especially in Western Europe. Some of them are still there, but you're definitely not allowed to actually bathe in them.
No, absolutely not. And yeah, some of them are there. I mean, Roman concrete was, I mean, we still really don't know the recipe for Roman concrete. Anyway, we'll make that a dash somewhere down the road. The infrastructure weakened and Roman hygiene ideals faded. What replaced them was suspicion of heat, of nudity, and of communal exposure.
Bathing, once a daily ritual of wellness and bonding, was reinterpreted as risky.
The theory of miasma cast bathhouses as hotbeds of disease. Physicians warned that warm water opened the pores, allowing the foul air and illness to seep into the bloodstream.
Hmm. If that water's hot enough, ain't nothing living in it.
No.
Oh, but in any case, compounding this fear was the bathhouse's reputation for promiscuity.
Many public baths became blurred spaces, sometimes doubling as brothels or dens of social mingling that troubled moral authorities.
I can see that.
Yeah, I can too. And I mean, the Roman bathhouses were mainly brothels too.
Right. Concerns grew that the physical intimacy of bathing fostered temptation and sin.
Medieval writers and clergy often condemn bathhouses as spiritually frivolous, places where modesty evaporated with the steam.
As Christianity solidified its influence across Europe, the notion of modesty became central to religious and moral identity.
Bathing, especially in groups, clashed with the new doctrines about bodily shame and purity.
Clerics preached that cleanliness came from within, through prayer and piety, not from soaking in scented water.
In some cases, saints were celebrated for refusing to bathe, using grime as a badge of humanity and divine favor. Oh my, no.
I can't imagine the pungent smell.
No, and then you're just masking it with all this other stuff.
By the 14th and 15th centuries, these anxieties combined with plagues, urban overcrowding, and theological conservatism to mark bathhouses as suspicious spaces.
Public bathing declined sharply. People turned to dry hygiene methods, scented handkerchiefs, perfumed oils, and ritual linen changes as replacements for actual cleansing. I mean, the scented handkerchief, I guess that's to put over your nose to smell so you don't have to smell everything else that's around you.
That's the only thing I can think of. Not only were baths physically risky, they were socially and spiritually controversial.
The warm bath, once a Roman jewel, became a moral quagmire.
And as its water cooled, so did its reputation, leaving cleanliness behind and ushering in centuries where dirt was safer than soap.
Wow. Moving on to fresh without a flush, staying clean, dry, and dignified. When bathing became controversial, thanks to fears of miasma, religious modesty, and suspicion around public bathhouses, people didn't stop caring about cleanliness.
They just redefined it. The result? A whole ecosystem of dry hygiene practices meant to help people stay socially acceptable without ever touching soap and water.
Mm. One particular method was perfume powders, often made from crushed herbs, flowers, starches, and minerals. Well, the starches are not too far off because, that's
At
really
least that's
what,
absorbing,
I was going to say, it's basically what Gold Bond is a starch powder.
right? These powders absorbed oil, masked body odor, and gave the skin a matte appearance, ideal in an era when shininess was considered vulgar. So we went from oil the skin or else gets the hose again to vulgar.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get it.
That's wild times. Wild
Yeah,
times.
very well. Paired with scented linens, people layered cleanliness over clothing, using aromatized undergarments, laced sachets, and even fragrant gloves to maintain a buffer between their bodies and the world. Wow, I mean, think about it. You're layering all this perfume on top of stench.
At least they tried. Um, then came dry rubbing rituals, where people vigorously wiped themselves with linen cloths, sometimes soaked in vinegar, wine, or rosewater. Hey, at least the vinegar wine, that's something.
Well, I mean, the alcohol of the wine would help, you know, get you clean. The vinegar, yeah, I guess so.
The vinegar is definitely a cleaning agent.
Yeah, rose water, yeah,
At
okay.
least it smells good.
Yeah, true. The idea was to dislodge filth and invigorate the skin without opening the pores to miasma.
Hair was powdered, hands perfumed, and mouths freshened with mint or clove-studded chew sticks. That's hygienic there, actually.
Yeah, that is very hygienic for the mouths.
Hmm.
It's the rest of the body we're trying to worry about now.
Right, right. Okay, dental hygiene was getting there.
Yeah, for real. The goal wasn't actually sterility. It was odor camouflage and visual polish.
But these practices weren't equally accessible. Cleanliness became a marker of class.
The wealthy had access to fine linens, imported perfumes, and personal attendants to perform these rituals.
Now, what about the poor? They made do with rough cloths, homemade herbal blends, or simply endured the social cost of smelling earthy.
Yeah. Smell became a language of status. To be clean wasn't just about hygiene, it was about social identity.
In portraits and letters, nobles flaunted their scented presence like a badge of refinement.
Cleanliness was coded, performative, and deeply public.
How you smelled, what you wore, and how you presented yourself said more about who you were than any bath ever could, which, some of that didn't change.
Yeah, I mean, it's still kind of the same now. I mean,
Definitely relevant. Please
yeah.
take a bath.
So, what was the turning point from stench to science? It came in the mid 19th century. The tide began to shift. For centuries, people believed that foul air carried disease, which was, the miasma theory.
Hey, William, I think we should take a break.
Okay, let's do it.
Thinking about starting a D&D game or already a seasoned adventurer?
Table Talk Friday, a D&D podcast, is your go-to podcast for all things Dungeons and Dragons.
Hosted by Andrew, Seth, and Zach, three friends who turned their love of the game into a weekly ritual. The show delivers tips, laughs, and real talk for players and DMs alike.
Whether you're building your first character or refining your 10th campaign, there's something here for everyone.
They'll help you turn game night into something you're passionate about, and they love answering listener questions.
So grab your die and let your adventure start at Table Talk Friday, a D&D podcast. You can also find the link in the show notes. Travel connects us. It's how we experience new cultures, make lasting memories, and grow together as a global community.
But let's be real, travel can be stressful.
That's why Level 8 creates luggage that's sleek, durable, and built to make your journey smoother.
Now is the perfect time to upgrade.
Use code Level8Info10 anytime for 10% off, no expiration, no limits.
Level 8 luggage on another level.
Find the links and discount codes in the show notes.
At TK Books LLC, they don't just write stories, they unleash chaos, creativity, and the eternal clash of good versus evil, with a side of stupid you'll absolutely love. Curious? Check out their podcast and video previews. Get a taste before you dive in. Books, laughs, and a little bit of what did I just hear? Only at TK Books LLC. Visit tkbooksllc.com. It's weird, it's wild, it's worth it. The link is in the show notes. It explained outbreaks in slums, fevers from swamps, and even the moral judgment behind unpleasant smells.
But a few pioneering minds weren't satisfied sniffing out vague answers.
Enter Jon Snow, and not the one from Game of Thrones. A British physician who in 1854 traced a deadly cholera outbreak in London not to bad air, but to a contaminated water pump on Broad Street.
And we covered that in the Great Stink of 1858.
Right.
Snow's research included maps, interviews, and careful tracking, a revolutionary approach in a time when disease was still mostly blamed on, well, the atmosphere.
His conclusion? Cholera wasn't floating through the air, but flowing through the city's plumbing.
Though initially dismissed, Snow's work planted seeds of doubt about the miasma model.
And then came Louis Pasteur, whose experiments in the late 1860s and 70s cracked the microbial mystery wide open.
Using flask, heat, and patience, Pasteur demonstrated that invisible organisms, not bad smells, were responsible for fermentation, spoilage, and, crucially, disease.
With his work on germ theory, he proved that disease had specific biological causes. Tiny pathogens, not vague vapors, were to blame.
This scientific shift didn't just rewrite textbooks, it reshaped everyday life.
Public health reform exploded.
Cities began to clean not just the air, but the water, food sources, and hands. Hands. They started to
Yes.
clean their hands.
Wash them.
Yeah.
Bathing, once suspicious for its pore opening perils, was newly celebrated as hygienic, preventative, and virtuous. Yes, please take a bath.
Yes. And wash those hands.
Yes.
Instead of weakening the body's defense, warm water became a tool to remove germs.
Soap was no longer just perfumed status, it was science in action.
Religious and moral fears slowly gave way to medical advice.
Cleanliness wasn't about spiritual purity anymore, it was public health.
Hospitals were redesigned, personal hygiene was taught in schools, and baths re entered homes as symbols of being modern, not indulgence.
In fact, the once feared bath became a civic badge of progress. To bathe was to embrace reason over superstition.
But echoes of miasma, well, they still lingered.
Even as germ theory took hold, people still associated scent with sickness.
Disinfectants, perfumes, and scented soaps remain popular, not just for cleaning, but for reassuring.
The nose might not detect viruses, but it still shaped public comfort.
And yeah,
Mhm. Yeah,
uh,
I still appreciate the smell of cleanliness
you
today.
know, I do too. And it's comfortable for everybody, right?
I would hope so.
Yeah. In the end, the turn toward germ theory didn't just clear the air, it allowed science to soak into society. You like my little pun there?
I love it. Baths became part of the cure, and the body, once a battlefield against bad air, finally got permission to breathe. Thank goodness.
Yeah. So the lingering ghost of miasma, and while we still fear the funk, though germ theory overthrew miasma as a scientific explanation, its influence lingers in ways we rarely question.
We no longer believe foul air causes disease, yet bad smells still trigger anxiety, discomfort, and even moral judgment.
I would agree with that. Cleanliness is not just health, it's about identity, control, and social status.
Modern society is saturated with disinfectants, deodorizers, and fragrances, each promising not just hygiene but harmony.
Antibacterial sprays, citrus scented cleaners, and
Armpit friendly.
yeah, antibacterial sprays, citrus scented cleaners, and armpit friendly formulas sell us an illusion of invisible cleanliness, a continuation of the belief that what smells good must be safe.
In airports, schools, hospitals, and homes, we mask scent not simply to eliminate germs, but to reassure ourselves and others that danger is absent.
The cultural coding of scent remains powerful.
We associate cleanliness with virtue, while smelling bad often carries a moral undertone.
Public shaming of body odor, rancid breath, or unwashed clothes taps into centuries of social conditioning.
Consider how advertisements promise to save you from embarrassment, echoing 1930s mum ads that implied odor was a personal failure.
Even today, smelling unwashed is perceived not just as unpleasant, but as irresponsible, lazy, and untrustworthy. No, I don't wouldn't say that. I mean, I'm not saying go take a shower every day, but there is a point to where, you know,
You need a shower.
yeah, I would
Please,
agree with it.
please. Especially if you're outside working in the hot sun.
Yeah, I mean, or fishing. Oh my gosh.
Yes, most definitely. Cutting onions. Okay.
You know that if you cut an onion, it can stay on your hands for days.
Days, and it doesn't matter how long you wash them.
No, no, it doesn't.
And these judgments often intersect with class, race, and geography.
Who gets labeled as dirty in public discourse?
Whose natural sense were exercised, criticized, and pathologized.
The legacy of miasma theory lives on in these subtle biases, in the way we design public spaces, choose beauty products, and judge strangers in elevators.
In essence, the nose still acts as a gatekeeper.
Smell has become a social sensor, linking perceived cleanliness to moral worth.
And though we now understand microbes, the ghosts of miasma hover in every scented aisle, whispering that to be odorless is to be accepted, and to smell off is to be cast out.
So, we're going to close out here from vapors to wellness. What started as fear of bad air transforms slowly, curiously, into our modern definition of cleanliness.
We've journeyed from steam filled bathhouses and miasma paranoia to germ theory, soap rituals, and shower schedules. Once, bathing was condemned as risky. Today, it's a sign of self care, respectability, and even spirituality.
But here's the twist. In trying to escape the ghost of miasma, have we created new ones?
Modern wellness trends are rife with invisible threats, toxins, EMFs, detox regimens, microbiome balancing formulas.
So, like the miasma theory, these anxieties often hinge on unseen forces lurking in air, food, or pores.
Wellness culture promises purity not just through hygiene, but through control optimization and ritual.
It's no longer foul air, it's bad vibes or energy imbalance that must be scrubbed away.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Burn it with hot water. That's fine. Replace herbal powders with activated charcoal. Trade plague masks for aura cleansers.
We may have traded fear of polluted air for fear of imperfection.
So, as we soak in our daily rituals, maybe the lingering lesson isn't just about science, it's about the story.
about how culture, belief, and sense still shape how we define health.
Cleanliness, after all, has always been more than skin deep.
You just had to go and get you a pun into, huh?
Yes.
I mean, this was very interesting. I didn't know all the facets about miasma. I just thought it was, the air. I didn't realize it kind of transformed into not taking a bath and all that. So I I think you put this one on the list, right?
Yes. I didn't realize that it stemmed and then turned into not taking a bath either. That's definitely not where I thought this story was going.
But I mean, think about it though. I mean, the scents and stuff that we have now. I mean, I know we posed the question, but are we still really chasing the ghost of miasma?
That is a very good question. I
I mean,
mean, and you do have to think about how toxic chemicals in the sense today are as well. That is something that should be thought about before making your purchase.
yeah, I think we should follow this one up with deodorant.
Yes,
That's pretty much all I've got, Kat.
me too. If you would like to support this podcast, tell a friend and help get the word out.
If you would like to help keep the show going, you can do so at Patreon. The link is in the show notes.
William and I want to thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you.
Join the Facebook group and Info on the Go,
Share with us your show ideas.
or ask us a question.
Subscribe and follow us wherever you get your podcast.
Send us a text using the link in the show notes or leave a review.
Email us at,
Info on the Go podcast at gmail.com.
yes, that is all one word. Till next time.
Stay curious.
Hey everyone, I want to tell you about Georgia Boots. They have a full line of work boots and casual boots for men, women, and kids, trusted by farmers, ranchers, loggers, first responders, and just everyday heroes who need dependable footwear that works as hard as they do. From the job site to the great outdoors, Georgia Boots are built tough, worn proud, and now easier to get than ever with free shipping and returns on orders $50 or more and with prices you won't find anywhere else. So, click the link in the show notes. Get your pair of Georgia boots today.
Hey, your dream getaway starts with Apple Vacations. Planning that perfect escape has never been easier. Whether you're craving sun soaked beaches, all exclusive luxury, or family friendly fun, we've got it covered with unbeatable vacation packages to the Caribbean, Mexico, Hawaii, Central America, and beyond. Enjoy exclusive deals, nonstop flights from major cities, and hand-picked resorts that take the guesswork out of travel. From romantic retreats to group getaways, Apple Vacations makes it simple to relax, recharge, and make unforgettable memories. Book with confidence, travel with ease, vacation like never before. Apple Vacations, your getaway, your way. Click the link in the show notes for exclusive offers.